Welcome to my YouTube channel where I use my lived experiences to motivate you to navigate through the complexities of family relationships. My name is Pauline. In my last video, I did look at the relationship between roles and identity. And I looked at why your roles and responsibility do not define you as a person. At that video, I came to the conclusion that you are the only constant in everything regarding your family relationships. And one of the secrets to building a successful and fulfilling lasting relationship is for you to discover your identity and, most importantly, to build a relationship with yourself. So if you do not build a relationship with yourself, it's going to be very difficult for you to build relationship with others. So building relationship with yourself is key. And for you to do that, you need to be able to recognize your identity. So in today's video, I'm going to look at the relationship between identity and purpose because they mean two different things. And I did specify in the previous video that your identity is who you are, is what makes you you, is your unique personality. It is not what you do, it is not what you have, it is who you are. And the journey to discovering your own identity would involve you to really go inward. So if you have that self-conversation with yourself and you try to discover your identity, you would be asking questions, for example, like, who am I? For example, where do I come from? Who made me? What am I here to do? And who am I meant to be in this world? So by the time you're asking yourself those questions about your own identity, they would necessarily lead you to the one who created you. And speaking from personal experience, the journey to discovering my identity was not a very easy one. As a traditional, African woman, I was socialized, to believe that my identity was tied up to my role as a mother and also to my role as a wife and also to the responsibilities that come with this role and responsibilities. But again, as time went on in my life, when my children started growing up and now, started having some kind of crisis, because it was as if my identity, I was no longer able to find myself in that identity as a mother that society has carved out for me. The same thing happened to my role as a wife because life happens. And then when I was relieved of my duties, as a wife, it was a time that really, got me into some kind of crisis. And I started asking myself, what is my purpose? It's like my identity as a wife and as a mother were intrinsically tied to my purpose. How wrong was I? I found out in those moments that I was made for more, that my identity was not tied to my role as a mother or as a wife, because I just found there was something more. So I started this inward journey into discovering my purpose. And what I'm going to share with you in this video are not things I read from book, but things I have actually experienced in my own life. So my own identity I found when I was reading Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. And at this time, yes, I was going to church. I've always been a Catholic, but at the same time, I never really took the time to begin to explore, my own identity. So while I was doing some academic research, I just stumbled into this passage, Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, which says, male and female, he created them. It was such an eye-opener for me, male and female, he created them. And I found out that I was actually made in the image and likeness of God. So if God has created me, He has created me for a purpose. I didn't come to this world by accident. And if He created me, He must have a plan. So my own role as a person on this earth is to find out what that purpose is. So what have I learned across the years about purpose? I'm going to share some key key information, with you about purpose. Sometimes we think purpose is, something quite big, is quite huge. But purpose is what makes you fulfilled. Purpose is what gives meaning to your life. Purpose is what makes you, do the things you enjoy. Or sometimes people say your purpose is your passion. Sometimes your passion could lead you to your purpose. So for me, the most important thing is when you find your purpose, you will find what makes you fulfilled or what makes you successful in life. And of course, as an individual, what makes you fulfilled in life is not going to be the same with what makes, others, fulfilled. So the first thing I want to encourage you today is that you shouldn't equate yourself with others. You shouldn't compare yourself with others because you are unique. Your purpose is unique. Your journey is unique. Another thing I want to share with you is that purpose is a journey. It is not a destination. Just like fulfillment, no one is totally fulfilled unless the person has left, this world. It's not, there's always that constant search. There's always that constant desire, to explore new things, to discover new things, to explore, other, things about our lives and the things we desire. So purpose, first, is not about big things. It could be something, like that gives you meaning, that gives you satisfaction. It could be just taking care of children, at home, just being a mother, a stay-at-home mother. But again, another thing you need to understand about purpose is that purpose is not static. It is dynamic. It could change. It could evolve. It comes also in different stages. And then again, some people, when they think they've got a purpose in life and then they live for that, and all of a sudden that purpose is no longer there. I've heard of people saying, oh, I feel useless. I feel I'm not wanted. I feel I'm totally, out of this world. Nobody wants me. But that is because that purpose has changed. And you need to continue to build yourself. And that brings me to the last point I want to share with you, that purpose is constantly built. We don't find purpose like people tend to believe. I think that's a misconception. Purpose is built. So you need to build your purpose on a daily basis. So you might find fulfillment in what you think is your lifelong purpose. For example, being in a relationship, you might think, oh, that is your purpose in life. But at the same time, we know life happens and change is the only constant thing we are aware of in this life. So life changes, life evolves, so our passion also change. Again, our purpose will also change. So what we need to do in life is to continue to build, and continue to look for new purpose. And like I said, it is an inward journey. So you don't look for your purpose outside, you don't look for it around, you look within you to find your purpose. And your purpose is the only thing that's going to lead you to fulfillment, and then again to your satisfaction and to successful relationship with others. So if you like the content of this video, I would like you to send me a comment and let me know if there are other contents you want me to include in the next episode. So you go out there, go for this inward journey, explore yourself, spend time with yourself, build that relationship with yourself, and this will lead you not just to find your purpose, but to find who is behind that purpose, and that is nobody but God Himself. In my next episode, I'm going to share also my journey with God and how I have discovered my purpose and my fulfillment in God and in God alone. Bye bye. See you next time.